So today we are reviewing a relative newcomer to the market, which is Shadowhawk. Now this is the Shadowhawk S1476. Now Shadowhawk provide more towards the lower end of the market. This one's usual price is around £22, which is very cheap for a torch. So obviously I have my reservations. It means we do have to put it through its paces to see, even though it's cheap, and I always say you get what you paid for, is this worth that £22? So before we continue on, let's take a quick look inside this box and see what it comes with. So first things first, let's crack this open and let's see what we get on the inside. Now, as with all of my review videos, I do like to wear gloves, because if you can't manipulate your torch or with gloves, then they're a bit useless. So let's just go through. So first we get the flashlight itself, so we'll give this an open. So comes with a lanyard, which I'm not really a lanyard person, so we'll remove this now just for this. So it's a nice simple one button operation, and you manually push and pull to zoom in and out. So it's a nice, just simple design. You get your 26650 battery, which these are big chunky ones, so they do take a while to charge, but they do provide a lot more power. Now, one thing I will say is that for a cheaper flashlight, one of the things I always find is that threads are usually quite kind of grindy and not quite as smooth. This one's actually not bad for the price point. Not bad threads at all. So there we go, and cool. Okay, oh, let's turn this off for a second. Okay, so you get the torch. We'll just put that to one side. Quite a weighty torch, actually. You get a basic holster. I mean, it is what it is. You know, it does the trick. Yep, just goes on your belt like that. Yeah, pretty standard. We'll give that a try. And then you start getting some adapters. So you get this. Now this is so that you can use 3 AAAs, which they do supply, instead of that 26650. So if you're running this in here and you run out and you're out and about, you can at least go to a store and buy some new batteries, whereas 26650 is obviously a little more difficult. And to use that, you just slip this into this little plastic adapter here and then put it inside to replace the rechargeable cell. Now, one of the interesting things is that you can also put an 18650 through this tube and it will also run the torch. I've already tried that and it does work. That's an excellent idea. Now, they also give you a little keychain light. That's just a nice little freebie there. And then you get your charge cable, and then you get your basic instructions. And when I say basic, I do mean very basic. It doesn't give you much about the technical features or anything like that, such as brightness and anything like that, but I'll go into that in a minute. But it does at least tell you how to use the torch and some of the safety precautions. So let's get more of an expanded look. Now, whilst looking through the instructions, I cannot find any outputs information such as lumens, lux, candela, any of that information at all. I've gone on to Amazon where this is sold and I have looked at the listing, and it stated 20,000 lumens, but then another listing said it's 10,000 lumens. Now, I will say this. That's a bold claim. I would like to see proof of that. I don't think it's 10,000. That's a big number, okay? Especially for a single LED. Don't get me wrong though, for a 22 quid light, this thing is very, very bright. Now, one thing I would like to point out is this lovely, even light distribution that you get here. Now, the only other company that successfully pulled this off is Lenser, which is a German manufacturer. Now, the problem there though is, I've always said this about Lenser, they're way overpriced for the power they give. 22 quid to achieve that, that's actually very good. But let's look at the other features. Now, this is one that I'm not as much of a fan of. So this is what we call a zoomie, so zoom in and out. So you can have that nice flood, or you can have a spotlight. Now, if I come away from, if I go behind the camera for a moment and point it at the wall, you'll see why I'm not as much of a fan of this feature. So here we have it on the flood, which, you know, yeah, it does its job very well. But now if we zoom it, we're getting this square effect with the grid, which is basically just focusing in on the LED. Now, when you zoom in with say a lenser, you don't get that effect. It's far rounder, far crisper. This is common of the cheaper zoomy torches. So I mean, you can let them get away with it. It's fine, because to modify the optic to get round that is going to cost them a lot in R&D. It will push the price up for the user. So if you're happy with that, it does do its job. It does project a little bit further. Now, it is a simple one-touch operation. It's one button there, and it has these nice power indicators to tell you how much charge you have left. Got 100% on this at the moment because we're going to take it outdoors in a second. Now, it's very basic in its functionality. It only has the one button, so if we press and hold, it'll turn it off. You do have to press and hold it for quite some time. But to get through all the other settings, so immediately goes straight to its brightest mode. Then it steps it down to a medium, and then it steps it down to a low. Now, when you press it again, it will do its strobe. And then, if you press it again, it will do an SOS. It's really nice that you can do that, but I will get on to improvements and suggestions at the end of the video. But that's it, that is how basic this is. So let's take this outside and we will see what we're going to get out of this, because it says that when it's zoomed out it can reach anything up to 3,500 feet. I'll get it to go as far as I can, and then I'll use Google Maps to measure the distance so we can get a more accurate idea of how far this will go. But I'm more impressed with the flood. That's what I want to test. So let's go outside. So sorry for any wind, can't really help it. I am next to the river, it's at high tide. Now when Shadowhawk approached me, they said just splash some water on it, don't submerge it. So what I'm about to do, the manufacturer does not condone, and I probably should film this before I do the outdoor test, so I might break this. So let's yeet this into the river. So we'll turn it on and yeet. Right, we're going to bring this out quick because it's not rated for this, so let's bring it out. Sorry, I've not brought a tripod with me. Okay, it survived. Okay, so I am genuinely amazed because after I threw that in the river, as you've just seen, about an hour later the torch died. There was water dripping out of it. It did not hold its like water tightness. Not that it was advertised to. So, jokingly, I thought, well, it'll be a good laugh for friends. So I put it in the oven. Here's a picture of that. And as it dried out, it's back. And it's working. I was really kind of worried that I wouldn't be able to do the proper outdoor test, but it works now. I'm literally using it to illuminate my face. So here we go, let's do an outdoor test. Okay, so here's one of the local parks, and as this thing just goes straight into turbo the second you turn it on, let's just go for the full product. Yeah, say for 22 quid, yeah, that's actually a really good flood. I will give it that. It's better than Lenser, better than the Germans, gotta say it. So let's try the zoom. Okay, that does actually reach further than I was expecting, I'll not lie. But the big test, I guess, would be how far over the river will this go? So let's see if it will go over to the other side of the closest point. So it does. Okay, we'll keep going until we can't see it anymore. Keep going. Okay, so the naked eye and this camera are different. It's still lighting up the... Nah, we're done. Okay, so from here, so where that little light is, that's kind of its distance. So on the screen now I'll put what that is from Google Maps to give you an accurate representation of how far this will go. That's not quite the 3,500 advertised on one of the listings, but it's still absolutely, like, I don't know why you would like claim anything more, because that is a good distance, especially for 22 quid. So yeah, I mean, I'll run through the other cycles out here for the sake of it. So that's on high, that's on medium, that's on low. The difference between all of them is not that great, if I'm honest. Like, you could have more of a step down than this, but if the battery can take it, why not keep it brighter, I guess. I do like covert stuff, so I'd like to see a moonlight mode, but then obviously we have the strobe and then we have the SOS. But yeah, I'm so surprised the thing's back from the dead. Like, this thing was malfunctioning like crazy because I basically threw it in a river, and I dried it out and now it's fine. But having said that, yeah, do not do what I've done. It is potentially dangerous. These battery cells are lithium ion. You don't want to mix lithium with anything with oxygen in it because they explode. So do not do that. The manufacturer does not recommend it in the slightest. I'm just so impressed it works. But anyway, back to the studio. So, overview of the operation. Now, the button's nice and chunky. You can find it easily without looking at it whilst wearing gloves, and you can find it nice and easily. Now, my only complaint is with this button and the way in which they've set up the configuration is that, so if I turn it off for a second, which I have to press and hold for a significant amount of time, I press it once to turn it on, but if I want to turn it off, I want to press it once again. But it doesn't. Every time you press it, it cycles through those modes. I would prefer it to change its modes if you pressed and held for a moment. But other than that, it's a minor inconvenience. You know, you can get over it. Now, the zoom function is nice and smooth, and the threads are nicely cut. For the price, honestly, for the 22 quid mark, and also the fact that it's Black Friday and it will be on sale, so it'll be even less, I can't say no to it. It's actually a really good torch for its price point. But again, you do get what you pay for. The warranty's nowhere near as good as some of the other manufacturers, for example. However, a basic warranty does exist. A 26650 battery on its own, you're looking at about 15 quid. So yeah, no, it's a great package to have in that case. One of the other features which I didn't mention before is on the back, on the other side of where the button is. If we take this rubber cap away, you will notice that there are 2 USB ports. Now, this is a great idea, and as far as I know, there's only one other torch on the market that does this. But the standard type USB port in there is so that you can charge your phone from this torch. That's excellent, that's great. And then obviously your standard USB-C there is to charge the torch itself. That's fantastic. You will not get another torch doing that at this price range, at least not that I'm aware of. So some feedback to the manufacturer, just a little bit more. I'll tell you what, if you can incorporate a tail switch button on this thing, that'd be great. That'd be a really good feature for this torch. Again, I do love this button, I love the power indicators, but if we could just change it so that you change modes by press and hold, that'd be great. But here's a biggie, and I do always go on about these in these review videos, and that is a lockout. LED torches, especially ones that can focus, get very hot, okay? They can burn items of clothing, your bag, anything that the head is up against, basically. This one has no lockout function at all. You cannot lock it out with the button, and even if you twist the bottom, there is no manual lockout. You have to take this cap all the way off before it would turn off, yeah? So if you're going to put this in your bag or even back in its case, I mean, you should be okay with it in its case because the case is made with foam in it. If something leans up against that button and turns it on, you're going to start melting things. So when transporting, I would take the battery out. But having said that, again, for its price, I can't argue. It's worth dropping the 20 quid, you know, £22 or whatever the sale price is going to be. Which I will leave all of the details in the description below if you want to go check it out, and also if you want to grab yourself one. Would make a good gift this coming Christmas, I guess. So, with all of that done and said, I will thank you, and I will see you next time. Cheers! Hello. This is not creepy at all. Should I put this at the end of the video? What, when I'm sat on my Larry talking to a camera? Yeah, okay, fair enough. No, it's okay, it's okay. I'll wait for you to grab some crisps. It's okay.